I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's go ahead and get a roll call, please. Supervisors Wambold and Grady are excused tonight.
And O'Day. And Supervisor
O'Day.
John Franco.
Supervisor Franco, can you push your...
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you.
Now he's official.
Move on to citizen comments. If there's any citizens to speak, please come to the podium. Citizen comments. Citizen comments. Any citizen comments? Seeing none, citizen comments are closed. Just want to remind everyone, in case you haven't seen the email that went out, there's going to be a committee of the whole at the next meeting beginning at 6:30. This is to have the treasurer, Cherry Jacobson, come and give a report on our tax delinquencies. If you have any questions ahead of time, please get them to the county clerk so that she can get them to Terry and she is prepared when she comes in here. If you ask questions on the board floor, she may have to postpone giving you an answer so that she can do some research and get back to you. We do have a couple open spots for a Chamber of Commerce luncheon tomorrow. What time does that start?
Noon.
11:30. It starts at 11:30 at Strawberry Creek. If anyone is interested in going, how many spots do we have open? 2 spots.
No cost.
Yeah, no cost to the supervisors. So if you're able to go, please see Boyd afterwards. Okay, I think that's it. We'll go ahead and open it up to supervisor reports. Supervisor Overman, you have the floor.
No large report. Our meeting is the first Monday, which is next Monday. I just want to remind everyone about our 90th Parks birthday, which is this Saturday, the 5th, at Petrifying Springs from noon till 8. We have a huge lineup of events. If you see what Matt Collins has put together, I mean, it is huge and entertaining for every aspect of your family. If everybody could just get out there for an hour and a half, 2 hours. The highlight, a lot of people don't realize, I mean, they've said it in print, but we've got Sam Lannis, who is basically he's the Bodines. He's the founder and the lead singer of the Bodines. He's going to be there for 2 hours on the way to another event out at the beer garden. I think from 2 to 4 performing, and we've got a lot of other performers out there also, but there's child events. Just go to the website, the parks. Matt has got a huge day planned, and it's going to be hopefully a beautiful day. There's a chance for a little bit of scattered rain, but I'd love to see as many of us out there at all the different events. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Overman. Supervisor Hellman, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few notes from the National Association of Counties, which held their annual conference roughly last week, July 21st through the 24th. I brought a few things back and placed them on your desks. What you'll note is there's a pamphlet called Counties Work. Apparently there's an organization called iCivics that has been working with the former Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. They have basically designed a game that is downloadable on your Android and or Apple tablet, where you can basically be a county official and manage a county. There are educational resources that have been designed to go with that mesh very neatly, as I'm told, with the Common Core standards. Madam Chair, this is something that perhaps you and the county executive might want to talk to our school systems and those that are homeschooling their kids so that they can play this and participate in this. We've made a really great commitment to civic education, and I think this will help further those goals quite nicely. So I brought that back. I have played the game like 8 times. It only takes 40 minutes to an hour. It's really fantastic. If you have any questions or you want to try to do that, come see me. I'd be more than enthusiastic to help you out. Something that you should also know, the National Association of Counties Arts and Culture Commission has been promoting this Our Town grant, which is a partnership with the National Endowment for the Arts. I'm not entirely sure. They have not released all the information as to how these grants will essentially be structured in terms of what amount a particular municipality and/or county can expect to receive. But this is definitely something I think with our background in the arts, particularly I think maybe city side, we could maybe partner and do some things also on the west end. But they really designed this to try to meet not just arts goals, not just economic goals, but also social goals in terms of cohesion, in terms of bringing your community together. So I put a copy of this on everybody's desk so that you can take a look at it. If you have questions, feel free to ask me, or of course the contact information for the NACO staffer is down there to reach out. But I think that this is definitely something that we should aim for. Also in that packet, something that I don't know that we've talked too much about, there's something called FirstNet, which is basically going to be a nationwide IT response system that has been driven by essentially the 9/11 Commission, but particularly public responders on the ground. And so AT&T stepped up to the plate and said, we want to partner and help out. So there really is no federal money going into this, but it's driven by AT&T leveraging their power and what particularly public service entities have been looking to do. So basically this would, let me find my notes here so I can make sure I get this right. So AT&T has 40,000 hotspots across the nation, 6,000 in building assets, places like stadiums. They have 72 satellite deployable trucks that they are dedicating specifically to this. And they are offering, for the first 6 months, they're opening up 180 megahertz in some markets and 120 megahertz in others. So basically, it's not necessarily going to replace what local jurisdictions have, like two-way radios and so forth, but this would also be something that we could utilize and make use of. All of these states are supposed to submit a plan as to how they're going to implementate and participate in this. If a state decides that they are not going to do that, then the governor essentially needs to make the decision to opt out. Our governor has not made the decision to opt out. He has decided that he will participate. On the back of one of these policy briefs, also about FirstNet, is the name of the gentleman who is responsible for coordinating for Wisconsin, Tim Pierce. And his name and his phone number is located on the back of that. We do have local, regional folks, 2 persons in Kenosha specifically, who are also dedicated as part of this effort. Perhaps this might be something that the Judiciary and Law Committee might want to look into so that we can get a better understanding as to what it is might be required of us and what we can expect out of this. Beyond that, Madam Chair, one of the things that I have worked on in terms of technology and data has been trying to understand how it is that we as a county might have a performance dashboard. One of the things that came up in a number of the technology meetings was that counties are now starting to say, we will utilize this metric to understand how to do this thing for this department. And they'll post that online so that residents can track. Maybe they want to be more efficient in terms of the number of health department inspections that they have going on. Maybe they want to better monitor the poverty rate or the air quality, or in many cases, budgeting has been something that counties have set benchmarks for and metrics so that the public can see how well they are performing in terms of meeting those. I'm raising this because one of the things that I've noticed looking at our budget book is that for each department and division where it says goals and objectives, we lump together goals and objectives. We don't necessarily separate them out. So there's some things that are qualitative in terms of how is that experience happening, what does that experience look like, and then there's some things that are qualitative, which is the actual specific metric by which you would use to determine that. It might be wise for us moving forward in our conversations as far as both the budget and what we might want to present to the public in terms of how we're doing what we're doing, those performance metrics, which really tie into data, to sort of say, can we get some better clarity on that? It's not enough, I think, just to have goals and objectives lumped together. There's a sheet that you have called Technology Ins and Outs for 2017. And if you want to glance at that, some of the things in the in column are very interesting. So you see cybersecurity as crisis. Underneath that, you see holistic active monitoring and response systems. Under the in is ransomware. It used to be the situation that someone would essentially, quote unquote, hack your system. That's no longer the case anymore. The state of North Carolina had a very, very large data breach where essentially someone came in and basically held their system for ransom, which can either mean blocking your information so you don't have access to it, or literally freezing your screen. There's been some research done about this. They've noticed that entities that have data breaches lose about 10% of their stock value. I was told that we can expect our credit rating agencies to start factoring that into their decisions in terms of how they issue the ratings, basically how at risk you are for a data breach. One of the other things that you see on this in column is voice. It's not so much about touchscreen anymore. Robots. One of the presenters mentioned that one of the hotel chains that he had stayed at in his travels, a robot came up to him and offered him coffee. So this is something that is happening. When he refused the coffee and tapped no on the chest of the robot, it essentially went back to its charging station. Creating on a screen, like we used to have with the pen and draw, now it's 3D printers. There are some counties that have actually deployed 3D printers in their library systems so that residents can experience utilizing that technology. Virtual versus augmented reality I won't get into, but mixed reality you can think of as this. A hologram, for example, when you walk into a hotel or a restaurant that greets you at the door. That is something, Madam Chair, that is coming quite soon. Government websites. I know one of our supervisors suggested, he said, it's great to go onto our website and to do things, but where's the app that lets me plan my golf game? This is the kind of thing that counties are starting to do. You see big data for decision making. You can be data rich, but information poor. So it isn't just about how much you know, it's about how do you utilize the wisdom to process it to make it useful for you. So these are some of the things that are talked about in some of the technology forums, and I just wanted to make sure to bring that back to the board. I know, Madam Chair, you had asked me to design a technology initiative. I'm not quite sure if this drives at some of what that content might be, but hopefully some of what I said has sparked the interest to help further that goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Hallman. Seeing no other lights, we'll go ahead and move on.
Resolution 30 from the Legislative Committee, a resolution calling on the Wisconsin legislators to protect homeowners from dark store assessing practices. Boyd Frederick, yes. Hallman, yes. Berg, yes. Decker, yes. Franco, yes. Poole, yes. Galitsky, yes.
Supervisor Boyd Frederick, you have the floor.
Yes, move Resolution 30.
I have a first by Supervisor Boyd Frederick and a second by Supervisor Gilmore. Would you like her to speak on this?
I have some other information, then I'll let Supervisor Gilmore go.
Okay, thank you.
Just so we don't, this goes along with Assembly Bill 386, which is now defining what a dark store is. Dark stores were basically thought of in 2007 when Walgreens sued the city of Madison because they wanted to have their store looked at as being empty instead of full of product. Now the Assembly and the Senate will be taking up probably within this month where it defines the dark property as something that has been vacated. So this way we can take a look at the properties like Target, Walmart, and that as full properties. You will see it, that was sent out to you, the county executive's statements about this topic to the legislature, a letter from George Stoner, head of Summers, and also on April 15th of this year, Pleasant Prairie passed the same thing, help blind them to help define dark stores when it comes to tax assessing. And I'll pass it over to Supervisor Gilmore.
Thank you, Supervisor Frederick. Supervisor Gilmore, you have the floor.
This directly affects several of our local municipalities, and tonight we just ask that you support the resolution.
Thank you, Supervisor Gilmore. Supervisor Retzloff, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am going to support this, but I think just a couple comments. If you don't, I'll take a second here. The reason that they're probably doing this is, remember, especially in this state, we're number 5 in property taxes, number 5 at 1.76, regardless of your house, business, And I've often wondered, especially when I went back to Minnesota, is some of my friends live in very nice homes, and I talk to them about their property tax bill, and I go, why is that thing so low compared to what I pay? And one of the things I found out in the state of Minnesota up till 2012, businesses paid 4 times the rate that homes did. So that's a lot. I kind of did some research, and that's typical, where a business, their percent of whatever they're assessed at is more than what a home is. In the state of Wisconsin, everybody pays the same rate, regardless if you're a home or a business. So getting back to this, these companies are actually getting a little bit of a break with that, because theoretically our legislatures could have taxed them percentage-wise, like other states, more than they do the residents. So I'm going to agree with this, but just remember that when we're thinking about everything on taxes, is that's probably why they did that, is even though they're paying whatever a resident does, it's still somewhat of a high tax property rate. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Retzlaff. Seeing no other lights, have a roll call. All those in favor, vote yes. Opposed, vote no. Motion passes.
Resolution 31 from the Public Works and Facilities Committee, a resolution memorializing County Trunk Highway N and A recorded and public highway. As a recorded and public highway. Alverman, yes. Brunig, yes. Bostrom, excused. Franco, yes. Gilmore, yes. O'Day, excused. Wambolt, excused.
Supervisor Alverman, you have the floor.
I move Resolution 31, Madam Chairman.
I have a first by Supervisor Alverman and a second by Supervisor Franco. Supervisor Alverman.
So the first question this evening from Supervisor Gilmore was, what does memorializing mean? And I said, I'll have to read this. I'm not sure either. So Mr. Cardamone explained to us what this is a new thing the city had asked for. Memorializing means they wanted to know that this had been a road for 60 years. And that's what this resolution does. We verified it has been a road for 60 years. This is all part of the intergovernmental agreement between Kenosha County, Paris, Summers, City of Kenosha, that made the news a year and a half, 2 years ago, a year ago. And this is us saying, yes, it has been a highway, and yes, we want you to take it over. When we've done this in the past, east or west of the I, it takes all plowing, maintenance, mowing jurisdiction away from Kenosha County. And if you remember Mr. Sipsmed meeting saying, please, yes, let's let them do this so we can get on to better things. So this lets the city negotiate with the other entities, takes us right out of the picture as far as that road bed, and I would ask for your approval.
Thank you, Supervisor Alverman. Seeing no lights, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Claims, Tristan J. Dion, vehicle damage.
Refer to Corporation Council.
Approval of the July 18, 2017 minutes by Supervisor Franco.
Supervisor Franco, you have the floor.
I move to approve the minutes of the July 18th Kenosha Board meeting contingent upon correcting the adjournment time from 8:33 to 9:33.
All those in favor to approve the minutes with the... Oh, yeah. I have a second by Supervisor Bostrom. All those in favor to approve the minutes with the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to, do I have a motion to adjourn? First by Supervisor Gantz, second by Supervisor Kavicki. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We're adjourned.